how are you doing? I hope you're getting my sound. Can you hear my voice? If you can, just say hi. And it's now time that we begin the live session. So if you have any question, feel free to post it on the comment section. I'll be more than glad to answer all the questions. For like 2 or 3 days, we've not gotten any videos, but they are coming. So if you've got any question, please post it here. Let me start with Eugene Omolo. Eugene Omolo, you're asking, is it possible for you to get a second notification letter and your case number 46K Africa region? So for 46K Africa region, you are sure enough that that's a good case number, but it all depends with the embassy that you come from. And for every other, or in some past video, I discussed about the performance of embassies. But if you come from Nairobi, as in your case, and you're asking if it is possible that you get the 2NL next month, no one can tell. But for now, we've got people with around 40K receiving the 2NL. I have several people around 40,000 that have received the 2NL. So about your 46K, we cannot tell, but just let us wait and see. And we have Margaret Githaiga. How are you doing, Margaret? Yeah, it is possible. With God, everything is possible. I know that. And then we have Collins. Collins, thank you for joining the group. Thank you for joining Verified So YouTube. That is much appreciated. And I can see you have a question here. Is my case number going to be affected if after submitting my DS to 60 and coming back to realize that a letter is missing in my surname? Yeah, let me answer your question broadly. If you submit your your DS to 60 form, and then later on you realize that you had omitted some letters on your name, then you are supposed to unlock the DS to 60 form and update it with your correct name. But let's say you are already current, and that means you cannot unlock through KCC. What you're supposed to do, of course, it is to contact the embassy and request if you can do that. But if not possible, just wait till the interview date, and then on the first desk where they request for the supporting documents, that is the support documents, that desk you request for you to update that information, and then you do it from that point on. And it should not be something that you should be worried of. I know some people have been worrying whether changing or updating the DS260 form can lead to any delay, but I've always answered you, rarely does it do so. In fact, it never does so. In some rare instances, maybe you unlock your DS260 form, and on that time you're unlocking, KCC was just about to submit your details to the embassy. Then at that point, then there might be some slight delay because they need to change the information to go through. But unlocking the DS260 form, that does not guarantee a delay. Those people arguing that way, they are misleading. It does not necessarily lead to any delay. And then we've got, yeah, Collins, let me get your question. I just realized that it was a mistake made from the court. For example, Atem Keng, the name, but certificate showing Atem Keng. So there are some letters, minor letters addition, the N, you've added N, and it's from the court document. Yeah, you can change with the court document. You can change, or you can change from the court point of view. But if they are not able to do that, then an affidavit of name would help settle things out. So if it is a court document that you've obtained and it has that error, not the DS260 form, the court document, that should not be a worry for you. You just go with that document. But for you to be on the safe side, just get an affidavit of name. Simply get an affidavit of name to confirm that this was just an error, but you are the same person with that name. I hope I've answered that. But if you still cannot get it clearly, ask it again. And then we have Eric Hamisi Omare. You are saying you are case number AF58K and just lost hope with Nairobi Embassy. Let's wait 2025 now. No, why lose hope? Why conclude that? No, 58K is a good number for Nairobi Embassy. And in the last live that I did, I told you for the DV Lottery 2024, we saw very high case numbers, like for example 122K as the highest case number, around that. And I told you, owing to that, you might see that even high case numbers, let me say higher case numbers, up to around 65K or 68K, there is a possibility that you'll find those numbers getting an interview. Not a guarantee, but there is a possibility. So for 58,000K for Nairobi Embassy, and we've seen Nairobi Embassy doing a good job in this current year, then you don't have to lose hope. You just wait and see. You'll come to tell me of it later. You still have a chance, though it's a high case number, but you still have a chance. Then we've got Tumenta from Yaounde, Cameroon. Welcome Tumenta. Good evening, verified soul. How is the Yaounde Embassy performing? Yaounde Embassy is doing good. It's doing good. You need not to worry. It's doing very good job. And then we've got Mine. We have Mine Njabia. I hope I pronounced that name properly. If one has divorce papers, do you need any other papers to travel with the kids? No, if you have divorce papers, it depends with the terms in the divorce paper regarding the custody of the kids. Remember, even if you are divorced, you still might be having partial rights on the kids, and the husband or the wife or the spouse has also partial rights on the kids. Remember, it's not an easy thing to scrap off all the rights from the other partner, the rights over the kids. And on this, let me just capture a little bit about the consent letter. If you are separated legally or not legally, if you are divorced legally or you don't have the papers, you still, the both of you, the spouses, the two parents, you still have custody over your kids, equal custody over your kids. And therefore, if you have divorce papers and still the other spouse has right over the kids, he or she still has custody over the kids, you will definitely need a consent letter, because if you don't obtain the consent letter from the other spouse or from the other parent, you will not go out or travel out of the country with your kids. So you need to look for one. So what is your case? Is the custody over your kids shared between the two of you? If it is not, then you can move freely with your kids. But if it's still shared between the both of you, get a consent letter from that other parent. Then we've got Abba Ali Farah. How are you doing? I'm doing fine. And then you are asking, I am case number 103K AF. What is the highest case number it will reach Any idea? No, I don't have any idea, but 103 case number is extremely high, though it does not mean that you don't have a chance, but it is extremely high with very less chances of getting an interview. I hope you did apply for the DV 2025, and I hope that you get selected. It does not mean that you don't have chances, only that they are very minimum. They're very minimal. Then we have Nelly Ochieng. What if you were doing diploma but didn't complete the course and you indicated in the initial application in the DS260, in case you are doing a diploma course but you didn't complete the course, if you indicated in the initial application, you indicated it in the initial application, in the DS260 form, I will enter the start date, what end date. Yeah, this question is not that clear, but I will try and get what you are trying to say. So you come from Kenya, and in the Kenyan education system, we have a course level called diploma. You know, in the United States plus some other few countries, the diploma, that name, that term diploma stands for the certificate, that document. But if you're in Kenya, we have a school level called the diploma. Now, if you were doing the diploma and you did not complete, remember during the initial application, you would have indicated some university courses. That would have been the right selection. Some university courses, simply because you started some courses after high school, but you could not complete them. Now, you selected it. In the DS260, you're supposed to indicate, if you have the papers showing or proving that you had that education, only that you did not complete, you just fill it on the DS260 form, the start date when you began the course and when you dropped out of the college. So you indicate the date when you dropped out of the college, and make sure you have the papers to indicate that. That is the transcripts. I hope I've answered that right. And then on the same note, I saw a question on the comment by one of us, and she or he was requesting the difference between the certificate and the diploma. So according to the high school education in the United States, the diploma stands for that document that you have, while the degree terms the level. For example, you are asking what is the difference between the high school degree and the high school diploma. When applying for the DV lottery, the level of education that you are supposed to select, that stands for someone that has gone through the high school education, completed it successfully. If you have gone through the 12-year education, you've done your high school and completed it, according to the United States, you will select the high school degree, meaning you have completed your high school and you are above the high school, or rather, you are through with the high school education. So you'll select high school degree. You'll not find high school diploma in the initial application. High school degree simply means you've completed the high school and you have that diploma, that document showing that you have completed the high school. That is the difference. Then we've got, is there any update from the ACRA Embassy? Yeah, ACRA Embassy recently took in 20 cases. After all that period of poorly performing, they just took only 20 cases. Very poor, very poor. They took only 20 cases. Yeah, and then we have Collins. Please, my question, maybe you answered before I joined. All right, Collins, I answered your question before you joined, and your question was that your name had some errors, and those errors were on the court document, not on the DS260 form. So on the DS260 form, you filled the right name, but on the documents that you have from the court, they have added an N, I suppose. And you're asking, is that something to raise the eyebrows? And I said that it is not something to raise an eyebrow. Yeah, you are well with that document. You need to go with it the way it is. But I suggest this. If it is possible to change or to make changes on the name with the court, go ahead and do that. That is the right way to do. Go ahead and correct the name. But if it's not possible, you obtain an affidavit of name. An affidavit that will show that you are the same person holding this erroneous name and the other person holding this correct name. By so doing, you will be comfortable at your embassy. Thank you for asking it again. And then we've got Nelly Ocheng, grade E in maths. Can it be an issue? For Kenyan winners, what appears on your transcript as the grades, that does not matter. The overall grade is what matters. So if you get a grade below, let me be specific. If you get an E, the overall grade as E, then that can bring problems. But if it's a particular subject that you've got an E, that's not a problem. So long as the overall grade is above the E. If you have a grade above the E as the general grade, you're good to go. Not specific subject for Kenyan selectees. I know for the West African, like the Ghana, they consider specific subjects. Like for example, if you failed in math, then they will consider that. But for Kenyans, that's not an issue. And you should be glad for that. And then Nelly Ocheng again. I didn't complete the course. In case I win, how will I enter it? So you selected some university degree. If you are successfully selected, if you become lucky and get selected, what you're supposed to do is continue that some university courses, and then you just fill up to what level you reached in that diploma course. That is just that easy. And then we've got Michael. How are you doing, Michael? A bit late, but I'm now here. Hello, sir. Hello to everyone. Yeah. Welcome, Michael. Then we've got Noor. Hi, I'm from Somali. My case is 54K. My interview location is Madagascar. It's possible to get my 2NL. Of course, it's very possible for you to get the 2NL. 54K is not that high, especially for Africa. And then we have Christine. What if you dropped out of the associate degree, that is diploma in some country, and may complete it in the course of the year? I failed high school when applying. Should I stick to that? Yeah, you should stick to that, but it's not a must that you stick to that. I've said you must stick to, you should stick to that for your case, because you are still in the progress of, you want to complete that course and you failed high school. But if you continue in the course of the year and you are selected, that level that you will reach is what you are supposed to fill in the DS260 form. Remember, if you're continuing with your course, then you complete that course, you simply request an unlock of the DS260 form and update it with the acquired education level. That's what you're supposed to do. But for your case, you selected high school, just continue with high school. If in case you don't complete it, then you just proceed with high school and present the high school diploma. But in case you complete your course, then unlock and update it with your current level of education that you've completed. And then we've got and Boris. Good evening to you, sir. If Samuel, that is Samuel, and then Che, CHE, is written as CHE, then Samuel, SAMUEL, is in some document obtained from another country. Will it create a problem? So your question is the arrangement of your name. You are called Che Samuel, but in some document you are called Samuel Che. Is that a problem? Not at all. That is not a problem. The manner in which you arrange your names cannot raise an issue with your process. And then we've got Caro Kiget. I hope you come from Kenya. Hi, I got my 2NL the other day, that is AF36K. I'm not able to confirm my visa date. I get the message that I'm not yet ready for interview date is 23 May. How soon am I to confirm again? So, Caro, you said that you got your 2NL and your case number 36K, and you are not able to confirm your visa date. If you come from Kenya, because this name looks familiar, you are supposed, after you've gotten the 2NL, to book an online appointment for your visa. So you just visit the website that is in the link inside the 2NL that you got. In the body of the 2NL, there is a link there for the consulates. You just click on that link. It will get you to the consulate list. You click on the consulate list and then access the Nairobi Embassy. If you come from Kenya, that's what I mean, or from other countries, just select your embassy. And then check whether you're supposed to book an appointment, because some embassies, they don't have this procedure. And for Nairobi, there is. So you select the Nairobi Embassy, and then you have to book an online appointment. It is register an online appointment. So you register the online appointment. That is just to confirm that the specified date on your 2NL, you are ready for the interview. You have accepted to attend the interview on that date. That is for the Nairobi Embassy and any other embassy that requires you to take the same procedure. So you're supposed to have done that because you've received your 2NL. And if you have not, go ahead now and do that. Register for the interview and select there the DV lottery interview. There is a selection list there. You select the DV lottery interview. I hope I've answered your question. And then you say we have Easy. Easy, hello to you. Thanks for the good job you do. Which supporting documents do I need from my host after winning the DV? A good question. Part of the proof documents that you need for the interview are documents from your host. That is your sponsor. And what you need is just that form, the Affidavit of Support form. That is the form I-134, well filled or duly filled. And then you need them, that is your host or your sponsor, to give you an accompanying documents. That is the tax transcripts. It can be W-2 form for those who are working employed on a salary, or 1040 for if the sponsor has a business. Then a copy of any identification document. It could be the copy of the green card if the sponsor is an LPR. It could be the national identity card, the driver's license, a copy of it. It could be the naturalization document, anything that is an identification document in the United States. And then you will need some proof of payment or transactions. To be specific, if your sponsor is employed, just let them get some recent form of pay slips. Yeah, some recent form of pay slips for the pay stubs. Only those. The Form I-134, I repeat, the transcript, the tax transcript forms, a copy of identification, and recent pay slips. That is it. And then we've got, please, is the police clearance needed for both couples? If both of them, I was previously a resident in another country and only the chosen applicant need it? No. All the members in your application, the members of your family in the application that is above 16 years of age, all of them, you need to obtain the police clearance certificate, regardless of whether they have immigrated to a different country or they are just a resident of their own country. Let me put it clearly. You need to obtain the police clearance form for all the members in your application that is above 16 years of age. And even if one of the members or all of the members have never moved out of their country, you obtain the police clearance form from their country. If they had moved to a different country, you obtain the police clearance for your country and also for that country in which you had moved. And remember, there are conditions. You should have been a resident of that country for more than 12 months. And there is a whole video about the police clearance certificate that I have done, because we have three scenarios. We have if you're moved to a country and become a citizen of that country. We have you've gone there and you're just a resident of that country. And we've also have if you've committed a crime in that country or in a country that you moved to. And we have all those situations in a video that I did comprehensively. If I remember, I will attach it on the comment section for you to go and look and view or look into the details about the police clearance certificate. So for your answer, get everyone that is above 16 years of age a police clearance certificate. And make sure you scroll through the videos. You'll find the video regarding the police clearance certificate. I've detailed everything in that video. So we have Kathy. Is it Kathy? Let me see. Let me see. Where did you go? Yeah, we have Kathy. Hello, verified. Hello to you. I completed a university degree in 2017, but I have never done any formal job. Will it affect me? Not at all. Not at all. It does not matter whether you've ever worked or you've ever done any internship or any kind of job. It does not matter with that. So long as you have attained the academic qualification, you don't need the work experience. And since you have obtained the academic qualification, that is anything above the high school diploma or the high school diploma itself, then you're good to go. You don't need any work experience. And then we have Kiget. Yeah, you come from Kenya, I see. I applied for my KCC confirmation from a month ago. They haven't done anything. Should I worry? No, you should not worry. You should not worry. You just come with the KCC document KCSE document. That is the high school diploma for the Kenyans. And then we have Haruna Osman. Hello, sir. Hello to you. Watching from Ghana, please, when do you advise to check the results? Whether the day the results is released or you can leave it for another day to check the results. It depends with you. Remember, once the results date has come and the results are out, you are free to check for your results any day after that up until 30th of September of the following year. So for the case of the DV Lottery 2025, the results will be released on May 4th, 12 noon, the EST time, Eastern time. That is the New York time. And anytime from that time onwards, you can check for the results up until September 30th, 2025. So you feel free to check it at any time you want. But remember that you're supposed to check it as early as possible to allow you time to fill the DS260 form early in case you get selected. Because you never know, you might be having a very low case number and you need to fill your DS260 form as early as possible. And then we have Christine. Thank you for your response. Welcome, Christine. Guys, please like the video. Please give it a thumbs up. And then we have who? Osman. Please, is the selection done the day the result is released, or is the selection done before the release of the results? So no one can clearly tell of that. But what is known is that immediately the application period comes to an end, comes to a close, all the way to the day the results are released. In between there are many processes that are done that involves the selection of the selectees or the winners. So there are multiple processes between the closure of the application and the release of the results. There are several procedures that are taken when selecting the winners. One being going through the photos that you've submitted, going through the errors that you might have made. No one can tell the exact day the results are, the selection is done. And then we have Junior. How are you doing, Junior? Payment at the embassy. Do you pay in dollars or in your currency? You pay in your currency. When you attend the interview, you carry your own currency. There is no problem with that. Just go with your currency and you'll pay in your currency. You'll not be required to do the exchange. No, just go with your currency and you'll pay in your currency. And then we have Charles Murimi. Hi, see Charles. Question, please. The baby's head is bent somehow. So you're asking if that can bring problems. But the question for the derivatives, remember the requirement for the DV lottery photo were given on the DV website, and you should have followed all the instructions. So if some of the instructions are not followed, and when they're checking the photos, they realize that, then you can be disqualified. Yeah, so every time you apply, prevent yourself from these worries later on by simply obeying the instructions regarding the photo and do everything. So you might get selected, but you might as well be disqualified during the second phase of the selection if they realize that the photo had some problem. But you might also emerge a winner even with that slight mistake. But always do what is needed. And then Hi, hi, we have Raja County. Hi, do they ask for high school transcripts? Thanks. No, high school transcripts are not requested for unless in some few countries in the West Africa. But normally they need the diploma itself, the certificate. Transcripts are not needed because they are not interested. In majority of the embassy, they're not interested with the specific subject that you did, how you performed. They are concerned with the overall grade, apart from some embassies in West Africa. And then we have Boris. Can your host be different from your sponsor? Definitely yes. A host is different from a sponsor. A host can become your sponsor, but those two people are different. A host simply provides you with the address, the permanent address that you insert on the DS-260 form. And this permanent address is the address through which you will receive your documents once you land in the United States. That is the avenue for you to get those documents, for the government to communicate with you. So that is just the primary purpose of a host. Whereas the sponsor is someone that agrees to give you some kind of support as you start life in the United States. That is the financial support. They are willing to take you and cater for every expenses that you will need as you kickstart life in the United States. So those people can be two different individuals. You can use the host's permanent address and the sponsor provides you with that support. I hope I've answered that and it's clear with you. And then we have Osman again. Please, sir, I learned that my country, Ghana, always poorly performing when it comes to interview schedule, which always makes it difficult to get interview. Which embassy do you advise one to transfer his case to? You can do it to Lome, Togo, is just the neighbor there. Do it to Lome, Togo, or go to Yaoundé, Cameroon. They are doing excellent job. Also, Freetown is doing good. You can try those embassies near you, but don't go to Nigeria. Don't go to Nigeria. And then we have Duffy. Hi, I hope you're doing great. Please, I want you to clarify this for me. I sent an email to KCC. They said my case is ready for interview processing since January, but yet I didn't receive any notification. Yeah, Dafi, you have not received your 2NL because probably your case number is not current. Have you confirmed that your case number, sorry, you've said it is current for visa processing? Yeah, your case number is current. So, yeah, sorry for that. Your case number is current. So you have not received the second notification letter because of the three factors that I discussed in an earlier video, and one being current, and yours is current, you fulfilled that one. The second one, your embassy having the capacity to schedule an interview for you. Your embassy is not poorly performing. There is no backlog in your embassy. Then they can avail a spot for you, then you fulfill that. The other one that you should have fulfilled, the third factor, is your DS-260 fully processed. So if your DS-260 form is fully processed, and then your number is current, and then your embassy has a slot for you, then you will be called for an interview, receive the 2NL. But if those three conditions have not been satisfied, then you don't expect a 2NL. Until they're satisfied, you get that 2NL. So what could be your case? You gauge it. What is your case number? Is your case number high? If it's high, it is current, I know. Is it high as per your embassy? What is the highest case number your embassy has interviewed? So for your case, you might find that your embassy is not in a good speed for you to get the 2NL. Now, we have Eric. Eric says, please, my case is in 221G visa refusal, and they keep updating it, and it's been months now. Why does the embassy keep updating the case without sending me an email? That is common. You will see your SIAC status changing every time. Your status changing here and there. That is not something that is unheard of. It is common. It's happening. So what I should advise you is, and I hope that you responded to all the requirements that were requested of you when you are put to 221G visa refusal. So if you have done anything they requested you to do, then you just still need to wait. You need to be patient for their verdict. What will they decide? You need to just wait. But once in a while, email the embassy, request of the progress, follow up on your case. Follow up on your case. So even if you see status is changing, it does not mean that it is a problem, that they are doing something and they should be informing you through an email. No, that is common. Just wait and keep on contacting them to know the progress of your 221G visa refusal. My case number is AF26000 from Cairo Embassy. The fees, oh yeah, the fee, I get you. So your case number was way a long time ago current. So for Cairo Embassy, just give me a moment. I don't understand why you still don't have your 2NL. Let me see the ACRA Embassy. So ACRA Embassy, just a moment. We have the Cairo Embassy. So Cairo Embassy, yeah, is just, yeah, those people with the 2NL, they are up around your case number, the 26,000 up to 28 and 29K. They are around that time. So expect your 2NL anytime soon. Anytime soon you might get your 2NL. 26,000 is within the range of those people that are receiving the 2NL. So anytime soon you might be getting your 2NL. Thank you, Daffy. And then we have Christine. How to scan documents, please? Why scan documents? Remember, the document procedure is not yet returned. It was scrapped, it was removed all the way from the DV Lottery 2022. There is no more submission of documents after the DS260 form. But in case you want to scan, you just scan with a scanner, go to the cyber and scan. But remember, you are not supposed to submit any document to KCC. So you can scan your document using any scanner that you want, so long as it scans clearly. You can also use a good phone. We have many apps on the app stores that can do a very good scan of documents. It doesn't matter, so long as the details are captured correctly in the scan, you do it. But remember, there is no document submission. And then we have Apia Edmond. How are you doing? I can feel this year God will do me favors. Yeah, amen to that. May it be so. We have Easy Music again. During the interview, is it a must you pay cash? Yeah, it's a must that you pay cash. No mobile transactions are needed there. In any case, you won't be allowed to go with any gadget into the embassy. So get the cash. No ATM cards are required there. Just withdraw, go with cash. Pay cash. And then we have Osman. Please, sir, there was a date that appears at the corner of my photo despite it meeting all the requirement. Can that affect my selection? Yeah, it may affect or it may not, because you have some alien bodies within the frame of your picture. Yeah, that could be a problem. But it's not a guarantee that it can disqualify you. No one knows about that. But remember, as per the requirement, the background should have been white of any disturbance, anything that appears there. Clearly plain white or off-white and clean with nothing. But about the dates, I don't think, or I don't know about it. We just need to wait and see. And then we have Davy Barr. How are you, David? The hard copy of my marriage certificate is missing, but I have a soft copy on my phone, which I used in filling the DS260. Do I need to print it out or send the soft copy on my phone for the interview? So, pertaining the documents for the DV lottery interview, the documents have to be hard copied. You need a printed document. And for your case, you say you are lacking the original hard copy. This is what you should do. You should go to the registrar of marriages and get the hard copy, the original hard copy. Whatever is in your phone, if you print it out, it's a copy. It's not an original document. So you just go and reapply and obtain that hard copy, the original hard copy. And for the marriage certificate, obtain the notarized one as well. So have the original one and a notarized one, a certified one. So you don't need to use that soft copy in your phone. You neither are supposed to print it out. That would be a copy. You need to obtain the original from the Registrar of Marriages plus a certified one. Thank you for that important question. And then we have Cheryl. How are you, Cheryl? I wrote my husband's name as Lazarus while applying, but on his DID and birth certificate, his name is Lazaro. Can this affect our process after being selected? So in case you are selected a winner, what you need to do is just to change the name on the DS260 form and write it as Lazaro. That is the only thing to do. But it cannot affect your selection. If you're lucky, you'll get selected with that name. In any case, they don't know your true name. They don't know. They take what you filled as the true name, because in application, you don't submit any document. So if you get selected, of which this will not affect your selection, you just do the updates on the DS260 form. And then we have Mugabo Geoffrey. I love your explanation. Tell us about Kigali Embassy performance. Kigali Embassy performance is doing good. There is no problem with Kigali. They have fewer cases to handle. The speed is relatively good. So no worries about regarding the Kigali Embassy. And then we have Collins here again. How is Yaounde? It's performing good. We have Boris. Please, is there a possibility for Africa to reach 85 cutoff number? No one can tell that one. But 85K is on the highest side of the case numbers. And that means on the highest side of risks. 85K can rarely be reached. Not saying that it won't be reached. It might be reached, but the chances are very minute, very small. And then we have Julius. Thanks for good job. Thanks, bro. And then we have see you from Mozambique. Welcome, Mozambique. Then we have thank you so much, bro. Yeah, that is the fee. I hope you're saying thank you so much, bro. Now, I hope again, I have already lost hope. It may, yeah, you're saying you're waiting for God's luck. Yeah, may it be so. So we have a question from the Ugandans. That is Julius. You are saying before medical for Ugandans has been done in Nairobi, and I heard that in Uganda they started or being given a chance to do the DV medical. Is it true? No, I have no information regarding that. Yeah, it's true. The Ugandans, they had to do the medical examination from Nairobi, and this applies to any other country. If your country is affiliated to another embassy, then you're supposed to do the medical from that country in which the embassy is, where you'll take your interview from. That's what was supposed to be done, and that's how it's supposed to be. But for Ugandan, if there is room, or they have been allowed, or there is an approved medical facility by the United States Embassy, the Nairobi Embassy for Ugandans there in Uganda, I don't know about that. Maybe I get information about that. But as for now, if you are a selectee and you are not sure of this, please just come over to Nairobi Embassy and do your medical from the IOM in Nairobi, Gigiri, for you to be safe. Whenever you're not sure of something, don't do it. Do what you're sure of. So if I get the update, I'll come and tell you guys from Uganda. Thank you so much, you guys from Uganda. I have friends that have made it to the US from Uganda, and with the help of this channel, welcome here. Then we've got who? We've got Duffy again. But again, my case number is still shows up at NVC, where the email tells me is current. Is there? No, there's no problem with that. If the status is different, so long as your number is under the cutoff number, your number is current, regardless of the status. And then we've got Rachel Mnyeni. Rachel Mieni. Good day, sir. Good day to you. Help me out. I have 2 stepkids, which I couldn't get their pictures, but I got for the other 3 because they are from different mothers. Actually, their mom refused. How will the CEO know? So there is a possibility that the CEO might not know about that. Yeah, there is a possibility. And if they don't realize, then well and good, you have some chances. But remember, they also have ways to know of that. They can come across your information and know that you have stepkids. It is also a possibility. So if they know that you had stepkids but you never added them, that is a disqualification. But if they don't realize, then well for you. Because what you say, you have a new wife and you have other kids plus those stepkids. And I know you probably could have added those kids that you have at the moment. So if you did that and you continue that way and they don't realize that you had stepkids, yeah, you might succeed with that. But yeah, just hope for the best. And then we have Kilo. We have Mbing Noel Kilo. Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon to you. Thanks once more. Is it true that Yaoundé Embassy did not update the SIAC data for last week? How can we get the update? Yeah, there might be some possibility. Let me confirm, because yeah, The embassy's data have not been well updated for last week. They have not been well updated. So there is a possibility of that. So you are speaking of Yaoundé. You're speaking of Yaoundé. Yeah, there is a possibility. Majority of the embassy did not get an update from the data that we have. Yeah, let me just confirm. Yaoundé. So Yaoundé. Let me just confirm. Just give me a moment. Yeah, there is no update, but that does not mean the interviews are not continuing or they were not allocated. Only that the update was not captured, but the interviews and everything else is continuing. Anyway, let's continue. We have Lowy Cheryl. Thank you, sir. So my parents' name is misspelled in the birth certificate. Can that, no, it cannot affect you. The misspelled name for the parents is not a problem. Then we have Simon Mwangi. Where have you been? We started earlier. So please guys give the video a thumbs up. That's what I'm requesting from you. And recommend it to your friends. We've got Subira David. Yes, Uganda is doing medical at IOM, Naguru, Kampala. Yeah, so we've been confirmed by David Tusubira. Tusubira, you call it Tusubira, I don't know, maybe. And then you say it is true that there is IOM, Naguru, Kampala. So Naguru, Kampala, we have the IOM. So thank you for answering this question. Yeah, thank you for the information. Then we have Julius again. Thanks and try to get the right information. And sorry, you're saying thank you for getting the right information and delight the world. Yeah, thank you guys for that. Then we have AS 32200. Any chance for the interview? Yeah, 32 for Asia is, yeah, it is very high. And so you're saying AS32, yeah, it is high, but that does not mean that you cannot get a chance. You can, but the chances are still very low. So yeah, just keep the hope. And then we've got simple ways. Do the Nairobi Embassy accept laminated document? Yeah, they do, but it's not advised. It's not advised at all. Not advised at all. If I were you, I would not have laminated them. But if you have already laminated the documents, it's not a problem. They accept it. There's no single winner that has gone through Nairobi Embassy that has complained of it being refused, apart from maybe being asked for that, but it is not something to worry about. So I think I'll come to a close of this video if there are no more questions, because I can see I've exhausted all the questions on the comment section. But please, we have only 46 days to the release of the DV Lottery 2025. You need as well to prepare. We've been tackling the question about DV 2024, but you as well need to prepare for that. I think no one has any extra question. And if I come to a close, I don't think I've left anyone behind. I don't see. Yes, I have a couple of minutes to handle this. If you have any question, you can ask. If not, I can comfortably bring it to a close. Yeah, for any embassy, laminated documents have not had issues, but there are bodies when you are going to seek for the certified documents of your original documents, they will bring issues regarding your laminated document. And that's why I advise you not to laminate your documents. So it is normally not a problem, but you might face some challenges with other bodies when it comes to certifying your documents. So don't laminate your documents. So thank you guys. Please don't forget to like. I don't see the likes coming up. Thank you for watching. If you have more questions, place them on the comments and I will be glad to help you. Someone is asking, do you fill DS260 form? I provide information on how to fill the DS260 form. But if someone wants us to go through the DS260 form together, I always help. But it is best you feel it yourself because you know of yourself more than any other person. You know the information about yourself more than any person. I don't disqualify seeking help. You need to seek help from those people who know. If you need my help, then we can do that. So, do you have an office? No, I don't have an office. My office is online. Yeah, thank you guys. I think we shall come to an end. I see one more question. What about the Tanzanian embassy? Tanzanian embassy is doing, yeah, it is relatively doing well. There is no problem with the Tanzanian embassy. Remember, they have only very few cases, around 380, or is it 365, 385, around there, cases to handle. And so far, they have handled quite a number. So, Tanzanian embassy is not doing bad. So I was saying, please like the video. Please, if you have questions, do it on the comment section and share this with your friends. So let's meet in the next video.